Hello, everybody, youth groupie people. I figured we could do our lesson today. We are transitioning now between. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. You gonna sit with me?
Yes.
So we are transitioning between authentic faith now into healthy friendships.
Hallelujah.
And so we're gonna be looking at healthy friendships and what exactly does that mean in our 7 checkpoints. So our second checkpoint is
I
healthy
thought we were going
friendships.
to transition to the.
Ultimate authority?
Yeah.
Well, the votes were good question. The votes were 2 for ultimate authority and 2 for healthy friendships. And the 2 votes that were for ultimate authority, one of them was like, "Why did you pick that?" And he goes, "Because he picked the other one." So I'm like, "That's not a valid reason." So 2 people really wanted to learn about it. So the one after this we'll do is ultimate authority. But we're gonna be looking at kind of the example of what does it mean to have a good friendship. Like, how do you make a good friendship? And so it has here a good intro thing to kind of go with our lessons before we go into the actual real story here. It says, "For all of us who knew Josh Ming, Saturday, April 9th, 1994 will always stand as a cruel reminder for the importance of healthy friendships. Josh was driving his cousin and 2 female passengers to a house in Shreveport, Louisiana, whenever 4 teenagers standing in the street began firing on the car. Josh was shot in the back of the head and he was killed in what police described as a hail of gunfire. An estimated 50 plus bullets hit the car. The 4 teenagers arrested in the fatal shooting were known members of a gang of middle and upper class teens called the Fighting Irish. Josh's cousin was suspected of being involved in gang activity, as were the 2 other girls in the car. Josh was just giving his cousins a ride. Josh was not a fool. He had given his life to Christ and the change had been evident. Josh participated regularly at weekly outreach events. He helped teach the children's choir at church with his girlfriend Jennifer. He was a member of the Airline High School football team. His grades were improving. His life was good. On this night, however, he was a companion of fools and he suffered harm. As a student, it is imperative that you ask yourself this critical question. Am I establishing healthy friendships to avoid unhealthy ones? Your answer will play a major role in how you conduct yourself throughout your middle school and high school. It will also help decide where you end up in your life's journey. Why? Because your friends determine the direction and quality of your life. And so our big idea is, you can give it to me. Our big idea is going to be that your friends will determine the direction and quality of your life, and it's based out of Proverbs 13:20. So if you want to look that up, or I can have Chase read it for me. I can get my phone. Oh, my phone's right there. Ha ha ha. Can someone read Proverbs 13:20? I have it memorized, but I would like somebody else to read it. I don't have I can't use my phone because my phone is being used.
Oh no.
Supplies.
What are we going to do? We're going to hook it up on Daddy's
Just
phone.
20?
19 verse 20. Or 13 verse 20. Sorry, 13 verse 20.
Anyone who walks with these people grows wise, but a companion of foolish people suffers harm.
Right. And so whoever walks with the wise will become wise, and a companion of fools will suffer harm. And so that's kind of the main concept behind this whole checkpoint we're looking at. Are you developing healthy friendships? Are you?
I don't know.
I'm going to have to take this, or we'll have to investigate this a little bit more. So the question then is, what does it mean to be wise?
Ooh.
Yeah, you're the only one, like, here. What does it mean to be wise?
To be wise is to know more and be more reasonable than others.
Okay, so I think reasonable is a good part of that, because a lot of times we think wise is the same as knowledge, but it's not.
But it's not. Like a wise man said.
Like a wise man once said.
The 3 wise men.
Okay.
Who said they were smart. All we know is that they were humble and honest.
Right, exactly. And so wisdom has less to do about how much you know, but how much you put into practice.
Like, how many quotes do you know?
Yeah, it's not about how many quotes, right?
Yeah, but wisdom has to do with quotes. In wisdom, there is a lot of quotes. People who make quotes have a lot of wisdom.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying that people who are wise tend to be quoted more. And I think it's because they take something that is very, very big and profound and they tend to simplify it into like the simplest terms.
Here's a quote. There are no mistakes, only happy little accidents. Bob Ross.
You could say that. And why was he so wise?
Because he was.
Why? What made him
He
so
was
wise?
humble.
He was humble.
He was reasonable. He was responsible.
Okay. It would say that he could take something that seemed very
Wrong.
normal, like painting, and he
Yeah.
could turn it into a life lesson.
Yeah.
Right. And so wise people are those ones who you want to be around you to help build your life up, making your life better. You would say that Bob Ross is someone who could teach you something and make your life a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He can teach you how to paint.
He could teach you how to paint, but he can teach you more than that, right?
Like happy little trees.
Like happy little trees. We're gonna look next week at an
Bob
example.
Ross.
No, how Bob Ross?
Him and his beard.
We're gonna be looking next week at 2 examples of people in the Bible who were best friends, and kind of looking at the example of what made them such good friends. But you got to think. I want you guys to think about this week, and I've already started this week talking in our daily devotional things about. Are you having fun there?
Yeah.
I'm trying to teach here.
Sorry.
But
Not wise.
there were I was already talking about this a little bit in our devotions this week, but we were looking at the idea of what really makes you a good friend, and I mentioned in the videos this week how I kind of had this miscommunication on what friendship really was. And so before I share mine, what do you guys think when it comes to friendship? Like, what makes somebody a good friend to you? What are some qualities of a good friend?
Not a troublemaker. That means
Okay.
no thieves, no cussing, no smoking.
Okay, so people who
No
aren't going to
drinking.
make some really silly decisions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would
And
you say people that are wise?
would never make that decision.
I think everyone makes mistakes.
Unless it's Bob Ross who needs a little creative juice.
Well, let me put it this way. I think people who are wise learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think because everyone makes mistakes. You know, people are always going to do stupid stuff. But if they keep making the same one over and over and over again, that's not very smart. But when you guys think of friendships, let me put it this way.
But
Do you see yourself as like having one big friend your whole life? Or do you have like a bunch of little friends? Do you see friendships come and go? What are your thoughts on that?
did you hear what I said a little bit ago?
About what?
There are no mistakes, only happy little accidents.
Right. So, but do you ever feel like friends then are for life? Or do you feel like friends are...
Friends come and go,
Okay, friends come and go.
but family is forever.
That is true. Well, sometimes. Some people disown their family.
With some friends, I've had some of my friends since middle school, since 7th grade,
Right.
and now I'm graduated. So I feel like some friends can stay, but other friends can be kind of like seasons.
Right.
Whereas then, they're not going to be there forever, but they will come around and come back to you. So it's like pick up right where you left off or whatever. And yeah, sometimes friends are just, they flake off, they go do their own thing.
Right. So it is a mixture really of all of them. And so you got to realize that during that time of your life that you can you have the ability to choose. So something that we talked about, I talked about this week during our devotions, but I want to bring it up now, is the idea of what makes somebody a friend. And in psychology, they actually studied this, if you guys have ever studied psychology. But the 2 major things that people that are the highest indicators of whether or not you're going to be friends with them is proximity and familiarity. So proximity is how close you are to someone. So like right now, Chase and I are in close proximity to each other. Like we are literally can touch each other.
Don't do it like that.
Well, you put your foot in my face. I'll do it again. But like we're in close proximity. And the closer you live to someone or the closer you interact. So like you tend to be closer friends to people who are in the same class as you, same neighborhood as you, all of that. You also are in familiarity. So like people who are, like for example, let's say that Chase moved to a brand new school. Okay, let's pretend he moved to some Springfield school. If he saw somebody from Republic at Springfield, he would be much more likely to become friends with that person than he would with some other new people in the building, just because he's seen that face before from someone from Republic.
I am very
and would
likable.
naturally go talk to him. Because you're more familiar. Like, you'll know this, and this is true because, like, let's say you go to a dance or something like that, somewhere you've never been before. even somebody who you may have just passed in the hallway, unless you absolutely don't like that person or that person has a bad reputation, you'll probably just gravitate your way towards them and start generally talking to them. Just because familiarity is something that is very innate in who we are. So proximity and familiarity are the two biggest indicators of friendship.
Don't judge.
So it seems like sometimes our friendships are almost beyond our control. Like our friends tend to pick us versus us picking our friends. But once you realize that, you after a while, you start to actually choose your own friendships. Think about like when you went from middle school to high school, what you're going to do next year. Yeah.
I can make a great actor.
You can what?
Make a great actor.
And what do you mean?
Dead corpse.
There you go. Why don't you be dead corpse? Go. Scene. There you go.
Perfect.
But when one thing I talk about is transitions in your life. You go from middle school to high school is one big transition. Like elementary to middle school is a little bit of a transition, but not so much because people are they're still kind of figuring out who they are. But by the time they get from middle school to high school, they start to really change. They start realizing what they really want, who they are, what they believe, and that starts to influence some of the decisions that they make. The same thing is true for going from high school into college. When you go from high school to college, people also go through another transition piece. Then they go from college into the adult world is another one. And what I mean by college, I mean like college and career, like basically going from high school to like an independent style. And to go from some kind of transition into the next one, whether you have kids or whether you move out on your own, whatever it might be, there's always some kind of transition there. And during those stages, you can actually start to pick who your friends are. Like you can pick and decide like, okay, I like that about that person. I'm going to keep this person around. I'm going to keep in touch with them. But then other times they tend to still gravitate towards you, and other times friends end up finding you. So I have stories about that. Yeah.
There's one story
Mm-hmm.
where I went to kindergarten with this one kid.
Yeah.
Never noticed him.
Not at all.
No, I didn't even know he was there.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was there for like 5 weeks when school started. Like
Yeah.
15.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't notice him. Well, no, when I got into first grade,
Mm-hmm.
since he moved away, he moved back, and me and him just clicked, best friends.
Yeah, and that's
But-
because once you did notice him, he was somebody familiar for you.
And now,
Mhm.
I hardly even talk to him.
And that happens.
I'll tell
Sometimes
you
friends
why.
are in seasons because he did something wrong.
No, he lives in a different state.
Wow,
I was
that'd be
gonna
why.
say you moved
'Cause
away.
Moved away.
I had to move then
Right.
to 2 different states.
And that's the thing. Proximity is the biggest indicator of friendships. It's really hard to keep long distance friendships.
It used to be
Mhm.
that we would go down there during summer,
Mhm.
pick him up, he'd stay the night for a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't do that this year
Mm.
because we have another whole family in our house.
No, maybe it'll change now. I'm excited
Yeah,
to
they're
do it.
moving out this Friday.
Cool. But one thing that I was going to say, sometimes your friends almost pick you. I always tell the story of Jordan.
We
Jordan,
picked each other.
yeah, that happens most of the time. You end up choosing and picking each other. But like Jordan, if he's watching this right now, he knows this. But like I was walking through the park doing Pokemon Go like a few years ago, and he walked by and was like, "Are you doing Pokemon Go?" I'm like, yeah. He's like, "You mind if I walk with you?" I'm like, "Sure." And then he just started talking to me, and after a while, he's like, "Hey, next time you're in the park, here's my number. Text me, and I'll come down here. I live just down the street." I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure." So we ended up like started to do that together, and then he's like, "Hey, you want to come over to my house?" I'm like, "Sure." "You want to go work out together?" I'm like, "Sure." So that happens, and then your life just gets busy, and sometimes if you don't have time for that person, it gets a little difficult.
Try
So-
to raise a hand so people can see it.
Um,
Don't touch my feet. My feet is personal.
So last thing before I move on, my idea of friendship. First off, have you guys watched like TV shows where they have friendships in them?
E.T. photo.
You ever watched how
like
there's
Friends?
like Friends, like the TV show Friends? No, I'm thinking of like There's a ton of them out there.
E.T.
I grew up with Boy Meets World.
Oh, not that. But
And now Girl Meets
I
World?
made us watch that in school.
It was a good show.
Meh.
Meh, it was amazing.
I want to know a better show?
What?
I can't think of the title right now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, now I can. American Truckers.
That's not like a sitcom-ish comedy show.
Well, I never said it was. If you want a sitcom comedy show,
Mm-hmm.
anything on the Disney Channel or Nickelodeon.
But the Disney Channel, that brings up a good point, because the Disney Channel tends to have this idea. If you look in most Disney shows, they have like the main character and the main character's best friend or best two friends, right?
But
And like they're always been together,
I'm
they've been
talking
around
about
forever.
like a certain show.
What do you mean a certain show? There's like a bunch of them on Disney
The
Channel.
one about wizards.
Wizards of Waverly Place?
Yes.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
was a good one.
Yeah, okay.
And then there's the
I'm a Disney
Thundermans
person.
and Haunted Hathaways.
I believe you. I've not seen any. I've seen Wizards. My brother watched Wizards for a little bit growing up, but
Watch Haunted Hathaways.
maybe later. You can
What?
show me.
Okay, can I tell you the plot?
Real quick, yeah.
Okay, so this family moves into an old house, make it a shop and a home. They made it a bakery. And in the house was 3 ghosts. A child, a teenager, and a father who loved jazz.
Okay.
The child's not good at haunting. The teenager doesn't want to scare. And the father's just a father.
Okay, so they're friendly ghosts, like Casper.
Yeah. Well, the child wants to scare, but he sucks at it.
Oh.
He want like one episode. It was Halloween. He wanted a scary costume. He snapped his fingers like the ghost do. It's like magic for them.
Mhm.
Pumpkin.
Gotcha. I'll have to check it out. It sounds kind of interesting.
And then there's the Thundermans.
Mhm.
Superheroes. Just superheroes.
That seems pretty common. Does the character have a best friend in the show?
Yes.
Seems to be in all like Disney Channel shows. I grew up with like Boy Meets World, which had Sean and
Thundermans
Corey.
is on Nickelodeon.
On Nickelodeon? Okay. But like they had Sean and Corey, and
They
they were
don't
like
air it anymore.
the best friends in the world. But like a ton of other shows do that. Scrubs, you have like Turk and JD, you have which I love. You have Psych. What's his name? Sean and Guster. You have those guys. They all have this idea of like the best friend. And I grew up thinking that I was going to have like the best friend. You know what I mean? Like the one from the TV shows. Having fun there.
E.T. photo. Don't pull my finger.
Yeah, don't mess your pants, please. But I thought I was going to have like the best friend in the entire world. I did not. I ended up. Well, let me put it this way. When I was in high school, I had John, who was like, I could relate to him on very personal levels and things, but like personality-wise, we are very, very, very different, and our personalities tend to clash. Corey, on the other hand, we caught up with each other intellectually. Like we thought about the same things, but personally, we were very different people. You know what I mean? And then Casey shared a lot of interests in stuff that I had at church, but we didn't hang out a whole lot. The only time we really hung out was at church because we were very different people outside of that. So, I mean, in high school, I kind of had like my best friend was split among several people. And I think most people have it that way. But I like in my mind had this skewed view of friendship that like I'm going to find my best friend. And so when I went to college, I went into college with this idea that I was going to find my best friend. And found out really quickly how great my high school friends were. And how my adult friends were in college were just kind of okay, I guess. Because let's be honest, there's only really 1 or 2 people that I still keep up with in college. 2 people really that I can think of that I still keep up with in college, that were friends in college, and I wanted to be their friends still. You know what I mean? Like it's not that the people in college I don't care about anymore. It's just we've kind of fallen away. But the 2 people I keep up with regularly are in college. But my high school friends, like I live with one of them, and the other one just lives down the road, and we hang out all the time. And so like sometimes when it comes to friendship, we have to have a reasonable view of it. And what does that look like? And we're going to look like the more specifics of what healthy friendships look like next week when we look at Jonathan and David. Yeah, you just enjoying staring at yourself in the.
You just hurt my feelings on so many different levels.
Why? Because I'm not your best friend. You didn't go to high school with me or college with me.
You can change that.
I knew you last year. I guess you could go to high school with me. Granted, I will be the teacher and you could be the student, but we could go to high school together. But yeah, that's kind of the thoughts on friendship for this week. Is think about the friendships that you do have, and think about your relationship to them, their relationship with you. Are you adding to their life? Are they adding to your life? Are they making your life better? You're stroking my leg hair with your toes.
I'm trying to pull some off.
He's stroking my leg hair with his toes. So, anyway, this week, just think about the concept of what friendship is all about, because we're going to dive into this a little bit deeper and talk about the different aspects of friendship. Starting on Monday, so tomorrow during our devotions, we're going to actually talk about Jonathan and David and break down that for next week. So, yeah. So, any questions, comments, or anything before I close this thing up?
You should have donuts next time.
Donuts?
Krispy Kreme donuts.
All right. Chase is bringing donuts next time, guys. So if you want to show up,
No.
he just said he's bringing
I never
Krispy
said
Kreme
I'm
donuts.
bringing, I
So
never said I'm bringing it. I
They-
said we should get
we should
them.
thank Chase. You know what? If this video gets, I'm even going to go easy. If it gets 10 likes, Chase said he's going to bring in donuts.
You know, I do have enough money. How much are I?
See?
How much? Wait, how much? Wait, how much?
Actually, you
is
know what?
it?
If I got 10 likes on this video, I would totally just bring in donuts next time. I'll
Wait.
go get Krispy Kreme.
I'm gonna like this video.
How much is how much is a?
It's going to take a bit.
How much is a dozen? Krispy Kreme donuts?
I don't know. We'll look it up when we're done here.
Because
But
I have like $6.
possibly.
I
I would
have-
rather you save that or spend it on something that you would want.
I want donuts.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, my battery's dying. My phone is saying. Okay, well, let's pray, and then we'll go on. Thanks for joining us. God, just thank you so much for tonight. I thank you that we have the ability to make connections with people, and that you designed for us to be somebody who is connected and not alone and isolated. So God, help us to find good, healthy friendships, ones that build us up and ones that make our lives better, and we're making their lives better. And so we love you, God, and we thank you for today. Help us to walk with the wise so we can become wise. God, we pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Bye.